Hello and welcome to AVNJ's Adventures. I really thought I was going to remember the number this time, but I don't. I have no idea which number this is, but I'm in Tennessee. Yeah, I don't know how I got here, actually. A big man hit me over the head with a rock, and I woke up in Tennessee, and I thought, okay, well, yeah, I might as well catch some fish. So I found this little stream here, and I'm gonna find lots of streams. I'm here in the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, which are these big, pristine mountain ranges known for their wildlife. And I'm gonna be exploring them, exploring all the local streams, rivers. Right now I'm in kind of a touristy town called Gatlinburg. And so I'm getting a little bit of weird looks because I'm in public in a tiny stream catching fish. But that's okay because there's tons of cool stuff, like this beautiful guy right here. Tons of awesome stuff to find. So I am looking forward to Tennessee. Tennessee has been on my list for a long time of one of the coolest freshwater fish areas in the United States and frankly in the world, period. I mean, it's darter heaven. They're known for how amazing their darters are. So I am excited to see all the crazy stuff that I can find here. And let's go. So first up, we have our aforementioned friend here. Now I don't know, this is definitely a black-nosed dace, but in New Jersey we have the eastern black-nosed dace. And then there's also a western black-nosed dace, and they are two distinct species. And I don't know where their range starts and ends, so this might be a western black-nosed dace. I'm not really sure. I'll probably find out later. And he does seem to have some sort of injury on his operculum, which is interesting. I wonder if it's parasitic. I could actually take a closer look at that with my macro lens. But this is a cool first fish to find in this running water stream here. Now, I've never been anywhere really down south in the US. I've been to Florida, but I don't really count that because it was kind of rural and I never went to like a town or city or anything like that. This is the most American town I have ever seen. Like if you were a foreigner and you watch a movie where there's like a stereotypical town, like an American town or American character, this town is what it's based on. Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I swear to God, I have never seen more Confederate flags, American flags, Trump flags, guys with beer bellies just out, and chicken restaurants. Every other building on the streets in Gatlinburg is a chicken restaurant. So I think I finally know what it is to be an American. And I've gotten a 2-mile walk in just to get to, what I consider civilization, something that I can actually explore. So let's see what we come across. First swing in the little stream here and say hello to my second ever sculpin species. That's right, New Jersey only has one sculpin and I don't come across them often elsewhere. So this is a different species of sculpin because I know Tennessee doesn't have the slimy sculpin, which New Jersey has. So I'm not exactly sure what it is, maybe, bandit or one of the other million types of sculpin around here. But a beautiful sculpin nonetheless, and just by running my net along the bottom in this area, I caught this. And this beautiful guy, who I caught in the exact same swing, is some sort of luxulus species. Could be a striped shiner. It looks more like a bleeding shiner to me, but I don't really know my luxulus species outside of New Jersey. We only have the common shiner. So either way, this is a different fish for me. Very cool find. They've got that pretty red and the black on the side. It's most definitely, I think, a bleeding shiner, but a cool thing to find. And this, as you can tell by those gorgeous hexagon scales, is almost certainly one of my favorite genus, the Natropis genus. Around here, there's the Tennessee shiner, there's the saffron shiner. There's quite a few Natropis species around here, so I'm not exactly sure which one this is. It has some red coloration on the fin, so maybe it's the saffron shiner and a female or just out of breeding season. Not exactly sure, but a very beautiful fish. New favorite catch already. This is another Natropis. It might be the same species, it might not. It doesn't have any of that red coloration. Well, now that I'm looking closer, maybe on its belly it does a little bit. But that black stripe is so clean and defined, and look at those scales. I mean, I know there's a lot of little fish with black lines down their side, and so people kind of just, put them together and you don't really have to care much, but like, look at the dorsal fin, look at the way it breaks, the way the rays spread out and branch, and then look at that beautiful black line as it starts thick and then it separates out into dots, and look at those beautiful hexagonal scales. Natropis species are, I think, the coolest fucking fish in the world. They don't get enough credit. This guy's awesome. And who is this grumpy man? This is just a much larger sculpin. It looks like it's the same species based on the patterning. But look at that grumpy face. Based on that, you know, banding on the back that I saw on the other sculpin, it looks to be the same species, but this guy is much, much bigger. So this will be easier to identify, hopefully. Now I caught another sculpin that's on the larger side, but this one has slightly different patterning, it looks like. So this might be a different species of sculpin. Let's find out. Oh, how I love their grumpy faces. Look at his grumpy face. He is not happy. But his colors look inverted to me. I may be going crazy and this may just be the same thing, or a female versus male morph of the same species. But to me, this guy looked different enough to put in the container and take a nice video of. Either way, it's a beautiful, big, grumpy boy. So, you know, why not say hello to him? I am loving the sculpins here. They are very beautiful. And the other species of shiner that I could not think of at the beginning was the war paint shiner. And I believe that's what this is. See the red streaks on his face? Kind of looks like war paint, like he's going to war and he's got the scary red paint on his face. This guy's pretty big. This is actually the biggest fish I've caught so far. Caught him in that little pool over there. And he is very beautiful. He looks a lot like a bleeding shiner, and I'm wondering if all the things that I've caught before and called bleeding shiners were actually war paint shiners, because this one's, I'm pretty sure, a war paint shiner and not a bleeding shiner. But I could be wrong. I'm still not too great at identifying fish outside of New Jersey, but I am getting better. Just taking a moment to chill right now, having a drink of water, and just want to say that I appreciate everybody who watches. It is crazy to think, you know, just a year ago I would not have thought that I could just fly out to Tennessee and catch fish, but here I am, and it is supported entirely by my YouTube channel. That's how I'm able to do this, and I get to share it too, you know. I get to share with a bunch of people, share what I'm passionate about, show the cool things that I find, and have people give me their feedback in the comments and their identifications, and we can talk back and forth, and it's led to good conversations and friends. Just a lot of really cool stuff, all off the back of a bunch of people clicking subscribe on a YouTube channel called AVNJ, which is a stupid name, by the way. I don't know if I've said that before. Stupid name. I wish I had a different name when I blew up, but I blew up as AVNJ, and I'm not going to change it after the blow up because then people aren't going to recognize me. So AVNJ for life, I guess, is what I got stuck at. My name chose me. I didn't really choose it. But I am thankful for all that it has brought me, and it is super cool that I can just be in Tennessee on a random weekend catching fish. All right, I think I'm gonna call it for day one. Interestingly, I caught no darters. Now there are records of lots of darter species in the area. In fact, Tennessee is like known for how many darter species it has, but I caught absolutely none. And maybe it's this particular stream/river system. And I'm wondering, we're higher up, so you tend to see more sculpins at that higher evolution. Sculpins sit on the bottom in the same way that darters do and feed similarly to darters. Is it possible that the sculpins in the stream, because I caught a lot of sculpins, are out competing the darters, and thus the darters can't live here? And thus do I have to go to lower elevations to find those darters, or further downstream or further upstream? Not really sure, but it's an interesting hypothesis I haven't really thought about, because I don't really have this problem in New Jersey. I don't have sculpins competing with darters, so why are there no darters here? Who knows? So I'm back at the hotel now for the night, and unfortunately walking to the stream and walking back from the stream, I have to go through all of Gatlinburg because my hotel is on one side and the stream is on the other side of the town, and there's really no way to get there other than walking directly through the middle of the town. So that means that I'm carrying my big dip net, looking like a total weirdo, through the main streets, the crowded streets of Gatlinburg. And one thing I will say is, if I did that in New Jersey, nobody would say a word. People mind their own business. Here in Tennessee, like half the people that walked by me either gave me a look or said something to me. Like 10 conversations started with me walking on the street and someone being like, "What you using that net for, boy?" And I had to be like, "Oh, you know, I was catching fish." And they're like, "Oh, you trout fishing?" And I'm like, no, I catch the little guys. I don't really care much about trout. And they'll be like, "Okay, cool. How many did you catch?" And I'm like, I don't really count how many fish I catch necessarily. I don't know, maybe like 20, 30. And I'm like, "All right, great, good job. Keep it up, fella." And then they walk forward. And this happened like 10 separate times on the way home. I think my trip time was doubled walking home because of the amount of people who mentioned my net. It was insane. All right, it is day 2. I am back at the same stream because it's really the only place I can walk to before I have a car tomorrow. But I saw that further upstream, if I walk along this trail for another mile or so, there seem to be people finding darters. And no one was finding darters here. As I mentioned yesterday, I found no darters. But upstream, people on iNaturalist found darters. So I figured I'll just walk upstream for a while, see what I can find. This is my test of Tennessee food. I've had a couple meals here now. I realize a touristy town isn't necessarily the best place to judge food. And also it probably doesn't help that I'm vegetarian. And like I said, upwards of 50% of the buildings are chicken restaurants and I can't eat those. But I really don't think Tennessee food is very good. Definitely better than Florida. Florida food was awful. Unless you got into like a city and then you weren't eating Florida food, you were eating like foreign food by someone in Florida. Tennessee food is I'd put it slightly below Missouri, slightly above Florida, but definitely way below New Jersey, New York, where I really like the food. But it's not too bad. So I got a sandwich and a lemonade, and I am going to explore the stream today. So let's see what we can do. So I've gone just about a mile upstream from where I was yesterday, and already sweeping through a bunch of leaves that were stuck on the bottom, and then just pulling the leaves up and sorting through what's in them. I've caught a sculpin, familiar, creek chub, a salamander. In fact, I caught 4 salamanders. I'll have to see if they're different species. And finally, it might be hard to tell because the water on the side, but I have 2 darters. Maybe actually I have 3 darters. They're probably all the same species, but I finally found darters. So I have to go through and see what's what species now. So let me do that. This is a macro lens moment. Look at this beautiful darter. It honestly reminds me of a fantail darter, but it's hard to exactly tell. But he is very beautiful. This is also a macro lens moment, just to get a look at the cool patterning that the salamander has on its side and that beautiful tail. They are very beautiful creatures. Oh, look at him looking up. Hello, Mr. Salamander. How are you today? You doing good? Okay. So I saw something small and black moving in the water. So I decided to take a swing. And what the hell is this? It looks like a rock bass, but rock bass usually have their patterning by now, by this age. So what would look like a rock bass but doesn't have the patterning? Is it some sort of local sunfish species that I'm not familiar with? I don't know. It was just by the edge. I'm gonna try to get some detailed photos so I can get it identified, but this is super cool. All right, I've arrived at the first place I had pinned on Google Maps. I found this spot. Someone found it on iNaturalist and caught some fish here. I like it. This little spot here is an isolated pool, and I saw a bunch of bigger fish in it. So I should be able to run my net through a couple times and catch some of the big guys. Hopefully finally catch some like decent sized identifiable darters, because I came to Tennessee for the darters and I'm currently at one species that I don't even know what it is. So let's see what we can do. First swing, and this, my friends, seems to be a much larger, more identifiable war paint shiner. So I finally have an actual war paint shiner I can take a great picture of for my Instagram. Speaking of Instagram, it's at AVNJ Fishes, so you should check that out if you haven't yet, because I post pictures of all the unique species that I come across. And you'll see this guy on there probably. He is certainly very beautiful, and I see why they're called war paint. You can see the orange markings on their face that kind of look like Native American war paint. Super cool. Glad to have a specimen that's large enough to be identifiable, and a specimen that flips upside down randomly. Time to let him go. Same little pool, and I got another big one. This one looks to be a river chub, but I'm not sure. Let me get him in the container to see better. He is very, very beautiful. Just barely fits in the container. I mean, he's basically exactly the length of the container. Been dragging my net along the bottom with all the little rocks like I would anywhere else to catch darters, and I'm still just getting sculpin, crayfish, sculpin, and then I got this one, which is the darter that I saw earlier already. So finding bigger darters seems to be difficult. Maybe it's only in the deeper part of the bigger pools. I don't know. I'm gonna keep exploring the area and running through, because now I've caught just about everything on my list other than maybe like a brightly colored Tennessee shiner or any of the darter species. There are a lot of darter species, and so far I've come across one. So I'm just gonna keep dragging along the bottom, and hopefully some of the bigger darters are trapped in these little pools and I can grab one. I mean, I know the area is known for trout because it's in the mountains, but I didn't necessarily think I'd catch one. But here we are, just in the rocks in a little tiny pool. Okay, buddy, all right, you can go. Very cool though. I don't catch game fish very often. I am about 2 miles into the mountains. I have no signal, no service. I'm nowhere near the trail. This is just a random side piece. And what I have found is a pool that is probably 15 to 20 feet deep, just amongst all these rapids, between all these shallow parts and rocks. There is a pool here that I cannot see the bottom of in most parts. It's hard to give you guys a judge of depth, but it's deep as hell. So I'm gonna tie a string to my camera and throw that in there, because I don't think I've ever thrown my camera in something quite this deep and remote. And I am extremely excited to see what is up in these mountain streams. After seeing how gorgeous and deep this area is, and not sure how well my camera's gonna pick things up by throwing it into the water like I did, I figured I should take it for a round personally, you know? This may be my only time in Tennessee. The water's cold as fuck, but it'll probably be worth it. So let's go for a swim.
Buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip and zip it, lock it, fill it, call it, find it, view it, code it, jump and lock it, surf it, scroll it, pose it, click it, cross or track it, switch, update it, read it.
All right, that is it for AVNJ's adventures, at least this part of Tennessee, the walking part. I walked 9 miles today. In 5 hours, I walked 9 miles, and that's not like flat walking on a road. That was up a mountain, down the side of a stream, into a 15-foot deep pool, and exploring and catching fish. I had a good time. And the pizza, actually not that bad. Definitely better than Missouri, but nowhere near Northeast pizza. New York and New Jersey pizza stays unbeaten. Sorry, commenters. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. There will be another Tennessee AVNJ's adventures in the future for the next 2 days, when I will have a car and a friend to help me catch things. Secret guest, you'll see. So yeah, have a nice day, everybody. Thanks for watching.